You're standing at the edge of a grave on the Black Sea coast. It's about 6,500 years ago. The man in the ground is being buried with gold. Not a ring, not a pendant, roughly 1.5 kilos of it. Gold on his arms, gold at his waist, gold beads sewn across his body, a gold-covered staff laid at his side. 10 paces away, someone else is buried with nothing at all. There's no money yet. No coins, no banks, no writing. Writing hasn't been invented. And already, one man is rich and another man isn't. So this is the story of how ancient humans got rich. Not kings inheriting a throne, not gods handing out favors. Ordinary people, working out how to turn a little into a lot. Because the tricks they used to build wealth are the same ones being used in your city right now. And we have their business letters to prove it. We assume business is modern. Markets, investors, credit, profit margins. That all feels like something invented in the last few centuries, in cities with glass towers. It isn't. Almost every part of it is thousands of years old. And the reason we know is wonderful. The ancient world wrote its receipts on clay, and clay doesn't rot. Burn the building down and you don't destroy the archive. You bake it. We have their contracts, their loans, their complaints about people who owed them money. Follow those tablets and you can watch human beings figure out wealth, step by step. It starts with a boring word, surplus. For most of our history, there wasn't one. You ate what you caught. But once people farmed, you could grow more grain than you needed this month. And grain keeps. That's the hinge. The moment you can store food, you can store value. And the moment you can store value, someone can have more of it than someone else. That's the grave on the Black Sea. It's a cemetery at Varna in Bulgaria, and it holds some of the oldest worked gold on Earth, around 6,000 years old. One grave, catalogued as number 43, contains more gold than had ever been found anywhere in the world for that period. Nobody is certain who he was. A chief, a priest, a metal worker. We're reading a society with no writing, so we're guessing. But we don't have to guess about the gap. The gold is in a handful of graves, and most graves have almost nothing, which tells you something a little uncomfortable. The first evidence of serious wealth and the first evidence of serious inequality are the same evidence. But gold in a grave is a dead end. To actually build wealth, you need a second idea. Things are worth different amounts in different places. Look at lapis lazuli, that deep, electric blue stone. In the ancient world, essentially all of it came from one mountain range, in what's now Afghanistan. And yet, it turns up on Tutankhamun's death mask, in the royal graves of Ur, thousands of miles away. Nobody walked the whole way. It moved hand to hand, and every hand took a cut. A stone that's ordinary where it's dug becomes precious where it's rare. That gap is the oldest business model there is, and it never stopped working. It's still the entire logic of shipping goods across an ocean today. So the first fortunes weren't made by making things. They were made by moving them. And if you like finding out that the modern world is mostly very old, subscribe. That's the whole channel. Now, the part that genuinely surprised me, because it's not a theory. It's their paperwork. Go to a mound in central Turkey called Kultepe. 4,000 years ago, it was a town called Kanesh, and living in it was a community of merchants from the city of Assur, several weeks donkey ride away. Archaeologists have pulled more than 20,000 clay tablets out of that site. Not poetry, business records. Here's how the operation worked. You load donkeys in Asya with tin and fine textiles. You walk them 1,000 kilometers into Anatolia. You sell. You come home with silver. Do it right and the goods roughly double in value. But you're paying tolls, bribes, and losses along the way, and any caravan can simply be robbed. So they did something remarkable. To fund a venture, a merchant would raise silver from a group of investors, a dozen or so, into a joint fund for a fixed number of years, with the profits split by share. Investors, shares, a fixed term, a payout. That is a company, 4,000 years ago. And the letters are so human, it hurts. Merchants chase deadbeat debtors. Fathers complained that sons in the city are spending too much. Wives in Assur, who wove the textiles the whole trade ran on, write to husbands abroad demanding better silver and asking when they're coming home. One of them, Lamasi, is basically running the supply side of a family firm by mail. These aren't kings. They're a business network, arguing about money. Which brings us to the invention that beats gold, beats trade routes, beats everything. Credit. Because here's the thing about a donkey caravan. You need to pay for the goods now and you don't get paid until months later. That gap will kill you, unless someone lends. So Mesopotamia ran on debt and it wrote everything down. Loans of silver, loans of grain, with interest, commonly around 20% on silver, higher on grain, recorded on tablets, witnessed, sealed with a personal cylinder seal rolled into the clay. Your signature and your brand at once. And this is the part I love. Writing itself seems to have started here. The earliest tablets from southern Mesopotamia aren't stories or prayers. They're accounts, counts of grain, animals, workers, beer. Humanity's first written words are, as far as we can tell, inventory. We didn't learn to write to make literature. We learned to write to keep track of who owed us what. So step back and count what these people already had. Surplus. Long-distance trade. Investors and shares. Loans, interest, contracts, witnesses, branded seals, written accounts. A market where prices moved. Not one of those is modern. The oldest is 6,000 years old, and the newest on that list is 4,000. Strip the technology off a modern business. The flights, the software. And what's underneath is a machine that was already fully assembled before anyone built the pyramids at Giza. Which means getting rich was never really about the tools. It was about a specific way of thinking. Notice that value is uneven. Move something from where it's cheap to where it's dear, get other people to fund the trip, and write it all down so nobody can pretend it didn't happen. That's not an ancient skill or a modern one. It's just the skill. But the tablets carry a shadow, and it would be dishonest to skip it. If you borrowed, and the harvest failed, you didn't lose a credit score. You lost your family. Across the ancient Near East, people pledged their children, their wives, and finally themselves against debt, and worked as slaves until it cleared. We know because rulers kept trying to stop it. Mesopotamian kings periodically declared what amounted to a clean slate, wiping out categories of debt, freeing people who'd been taken for it. Hammurabi's laws capped how long a debt slave could be held. Think about what that means. They cancelled debts again and again over centuries because the alternative was watching their own society quietly eat itself. The oldest financial system we can read already had a bug so severe it needed a reset button. Wealth was invented, and the same week, so was the problem with it. So, how did ancient humans get rich? Store more than you need. Carry it to where it's rare. Borrow to go further, split the profit with whoever backed you, and write down every last shekel. Go back to that grave by the Black Sea. Gold on his arms, gold at his waist, and 10 paces away, someone with nothing. We don't know his name, we don't know what he did to earn it, or whether earn is even the right word. 6,000 years on, all that's left of the richest man in his world is the metal, and the empty grave beside him that we almost never talk about. He couldn't take it with him, but he could leave it in the ground long enough for us to find it, and to recognize immediately exactly what it was.